Hey there. It's been a while.
Buddy, you don't know the half of it.
I'm just gonna skip the YouTuber intro. It's been so long that at this point, I don't think I even remember how to do one, and this is technically my second time recording this because I don't feel like going back through the audio from 8 months ago. Some quick life updates before I get to the character I'm designing and the campaign I've been playing. I recently graduated college and am now the proud owner of an English degree. And I also just wrapped up on a project that I wrote last year and have been illustrating since January. More on that last one soonish. Probably. I don't know what the publisher's plans are, so yeah. But anyway, back to the task at hand. If you look at my channel, you'll see that my last video is designing my first ever D&D character, and as much fun as I had with that, and as much as I would love to still play that game with those people, unfortunately getting 3 busy adult friends together for our game is hard. But since then, a miracle has happened, and I've started a group with 4 other friends from college. And I've since played 5 sessions with my Dryad Ranger, Rowan Lacebark, and his Forest Dragon companion, Bark. For the purposes of D&D rules, Rowan is mechanically a wood elf and Bark is a wolf, but this campaign setting is entirely homebrewed, so we had fun reskinning a few things. I mentioned earlier that I graduated with an English degree, and that was actually some very important information about how this setting came to be. When I was still in school, I took a fantasy and sci-fi workshop class, and one of the major parts of that class was a joint world building assignment where the whole class came together and each of us contributed one major aspect of the world. Together, we came up with a winter wasteland inhabited by elves who live in a luxurious and authoritarian kingdom that hoards magic and keeps the method to use it a secret, and dryads, tree people who live out in the woodlands and mine the crystals used to fuel magic and magical contraptions, which everyone needs to survive the cold and keep warm. I wound up building the magic system, and I'm very happy with how my DM has run with it, because as you'd imagine, tree people would have trouble with a mostly fire-based magic system, so if the dryads can't innately use magic without burning up, there needs to be a good reason for the elves to keep the secrets of magic hidden from the dryads, and since we just found out that maybe the crystals can be used for more than just generating fire, I'm very excited to find out what exactly that reason is. Anyways, back to Rowan. Obviously, the world we made is fairly dreary, especially since our DM introduced zombies in our second session. So I thought it'd be a fun juxtaposition to play a naive dumbass who was raised in the woods and is probably a bit too kind to survive in a cruel world like the one we built. The gist of his story so far is that after being abandoned by his childhood best friend for mysterious reasons, air quotes, and his entire family dying in a mining accident, Rowan, not exactly being in his right mind, thinks it'll be a good idea to go beseech the help of the Elf King to help raise the Dryad's standard of living. After being turned away by the guards before even making it to the castle steps, Rowan has the bright idea to break in and find the king himself, since all the propaganda says that he's a great guy. This obviously fails, and Rowan winds up exiled on the peak of a mountain with nothing but his bow and his last remaining family member, and functionally his dog, Bark. Yes, that pun is intentional because she is a dragon made out of wood and also a dog. So she is named Bark. Anyways, that's where the campaign starts, and eventually, very quickly, Rowan meets his party, who you'll hear about in a little bit. There's less for me to talk about design and process-wise, especially because it's been a while since I've drawn this, but I do want to say that I love Rowan's design and that coming up with it was a blast. I love nature-themed characters, so figuring out how to draw his cloak to mimic the shape of a leaf and the tree bark antlers, they were just so fun. And since drawing this piece, I've sort of retconned the glowing marks you're seeing on his body. Now I color them to look like regular tree bark, which you'll see later, but with that new information about possible dryad magic and a little detail my DM threw in last session, we might be seeing a comeback for those, which is very exciting. I also do want to mention that rather than my more normal sketch and then clean liner approach, I used a brush to mimic a pencil texture and then just clean that up to get my line art for this piece, which was a fun method to kind of keep that initial gesture you get with your sketches, and something I've been experimenting more recently. It just takes a bit longer to do all the color filling, which is unfortunate. For the background, I also tapped in a bit more to my oil painting lessons I got in the college course I took. I originally started with a very textured brush, but wound up using a basic medium hardness round brush on Procreate to do all the color blocking, and then went in with the smudge tool using a brush with a very crunchy texture, and then going over that with my beloved airbrush to add atmospheric lighting. Here I also have a bonus illustration, but unfortunately all of the character art was done before I got my new iPad, so the speed paint captures were deleted to save storage, and all that's left is the early concepts and the background painting. But it's a look at the whole party together, including Rowan's long-lost best friend and dryad bard named Silver, who's been holding on to several big secrets. The elven cleric, Juniper, a high priestess who I've learned apparently received a world-ending prophecy that says if the dryads and elves don't get along, we're all gonna die. Fun. Then we have the elven wizard, Gwyn, who I also just learned is now the exiled princess and daughter of the elven king. And lastly, Serenel, the 6'8 dryad barbarian whose backstory I have not learned yet, but who is lovingly referred to as Buff Grandma. And of course, as well as our DM's character, Pumgo, a little traveling fox merchant, who Rowan feeds a lot of dried elk to. I adore these characters and the story we're making together, so thank you for letting me talk your ear off about them. There's no words to describe how fun this has been, and D&D is truly just something I encourage everyone to try. Making up a story with your friends like you're sitting around a campfire, it's just a good time. I've also recently discovered that I am the Murph from Dimension 20 of my group, which, if you don't know, means that the dice, they don't like me. Or they know how to make the funniest thing happen, which is often me rolling a nat 1. The past 2 sessions, I've rolled nat 1s as my first rolls and have probably rolled more nat 1s than any succeeding throws. And if you're new to D&D, a natural 1 is bad. It's as bad as it gets. And funnily enough, I was listening to the original recording of this video. I also started my first session with a nat 1, so I am nothing if not consistent in that regard. That's all I have for you today, so until next time, which hopefully won't take me almost 2 years.